While you may get the length of your career to build the narrative, here's the thing about life as a rookie in the NFL. You only get one first impression. And for quarterbacks, the most overanalyzed humans in all of sports, that pressure is heightened immensely. But not all debuts are created equally. Some guys step onto the field and instantly look like they've been in the league for 10 plus years, while others, well, let's just say their performance leaves fans, teammates, and coaches shaking in fear. And there just is no correlation with expectation, pedigree, or draft position. Some number one picks stumble hard, while others explode right out the gate. So, how about we all take a trip down memory lane and break down 5 of the best rookie quarterback debuts of all time and 5 of the absolute worst. Best Cam Newton versus Arizona Cardinals 2011. Let's start things off with one of my personal favorites, and maybe the most jaw-dropping debut in NFL history. Cam Newton was fresh off a Heisman and national title at Auburn, yet he was still subject to intense media scrutiny as the number 1 pick in 2011. The takes at the time were, a little rough. Half the media called him the next big thing, while the other half said, nah, his game won't translate to the pros in spite of his undeniable talent. So, what did Cam do exactly? Well, he walked into Arizona in week 1, lined up against Patrick Peterson and company, and casually dropped 422 passing yards, still the most ever in a rookie debut. Add in 2 touchdowns through the air, a rushing score, and managing to nearly drag a bad Carolina roster to a win. I mean, sheesh, 400 yards as a rookie in your very first NFL game? That is not supposed to happen. But Cam came in with the critics breathing down his neck and proved them all wrong, and then some. Then, the icing on the cake, he followed it up the very next week with another 400-yard performance, back-to-back, putting egg on the face of the skeptics and haters. Yeah, sure, Cam's career had ups and downs, but man, that debut was the perfect mic drop moment for a guy who spent draft season defending himself. Worst? Alex Smith versus Indianapolis Colts, 2005. Alex Smith, better known as the guy San Francisco took instead of Aaron Rodgers as the number 1 pick in 2005, still came into his rookie season with sky-high expectations. Fair or not. The 49ers were down but had a long tradition of quarterbacking excellence, and fans wanted their savior. Instead, they got one of the ugliest first starts that you will ever see from a top pick. Sure, Smith got thrown in during garbage time twice before and looked okay, but man, it all came crumbling down when he had to become the guy against the Colts in week 5. Smith looked like he was trying to throw to everyone in the building except his own receivers. He finished 9 of 23 for 74 yards and 4 interceptions. Yeah, that's right. 4. And it wasn't just tipped balls or unlucky breaks. It was as if the Colts defense was out there running routes for him. San Francisco lost 28-3, and by the end of it, the fan base was already questioning absolutely everything. Meanwhile, Rodgers was somewhere in Green Bay smirking. Now, to Smith's credit, he did eventually rebuild himself into a very solid starter. Heck, even made a Pro Bowl and had a very long career. But man, that debut was brutal. Best, Marcus Mariota versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2015. While the rest of his career didn't exactly pan out like everyone had expected, Marcus Mariota had himself one heck of a debut performance in 2015 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had selected Jameis Winston 1 pick ahead of him, first overall no less. And this man walked right into Raymond James Stadium and embarrassed that Bucs defense and front office. The game was hyped as the showdown of the top 2 draft picks, and Mariota didn't just win it, he absolutely annihilated Winston. Mariota threw just 15 passes, and 4 of them went for touchdowns. Yeesh, talk about efficiency. That is some Madden-level stuff. 13 of 15, 209 yards, 4 TDs, 0 picks, and a perfect 158.3 passer rating in his first NFL game. That's something that hadn't been accomplished in 50 years. Meanwhile, Winston's first NFL pass was a pick 6. That juxtaposition made Mariota look like a franchise savior. Titans fans were convinced that they had found their guy. Now, of course, Mariota never became that star. Injuries, inconsistency, and scheme changes slowed him way down. But man, that very first Sunday, whew, he was flawless. Worst? Peyton Manning versus Miami Dolphins, 1998. Yeah, believe it or not, Peyton Manning belongs on the worst debuts list. In fact, his entire rookie season was a bit of a struggle. Yeah, there were flashes where you saw the talent, but he did end up setting the rookie record for interceptions in the process of kicking off one of the greatest quarterback careers ever. But man, his first NFL game was as ugly as it gets. It came against Miami in 1998, and the first overall pick went 21 of 37 for 302 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Now, to be fair, 302 yards is nothing to sneeze at, but those turnovers buried the Colts. Manning forced throws, misread coverages, and basically looked like a rookie getting tossed into the deep end, which, to be fair, he kinda was. But that didn't stop the narrative from starting once the final whistle blew, and Indy lost 24-15. The critics immediately started asking, did the Colts pick the wrong guy? Should they have gone with Ryan Leaf? Yeah, pretty laughable looking back now, but that was a real conversation. Of course, Peyton turned out just fine. 5 MVPs, 2 Super Bowls, en route to establish himself as the Sheriff, leaving his debut in fans' distant memories. Though, it should serve as a reminder, sometimes the ugliest first game means nothing in the long term. But man, if you were an Indy fan that Sunday, you had to be sweating hard. Best, Robert Griffin III versus New Orleans Saints, 2012. Few debuts ever matched the electricity of RG3 in New Orleans. Heck, his whole rookie season was just the stuff of legends, especially when you factor in the small fortune that Washington had traded to move up and get him in the draft. He was the Heisman winner, the guy with Olympic speed and a rocket arm. And in his very first game, he looked unstoppable, full stop. Griffin went 19-26 for 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and added 42 rushing yards. He walked into the Superdome, lit up the Saints defense, and left with a 40-32 win. His passer rating was an astronomical 139.9, almost perfect. It wasn't just the athleticism that jumped off the screen either. His passing looked sharp, highlighted by the 88-yard bomb to Pierre Garçon that silenced the crowd. And against the blitz, when rookie QBs usually panic, he went 8 of 9 for 188 yards and 2 scores. The man looked like a 10-year vet. That debut was so impressive that Washington fans started throwing around a few words too many. A few too many S words, like Savior and Super Bowl. Sadly, injuries derailed his career way too early. But man, for one game, RG3 was everything that he was hyped to be, and more. Worst, Matthew Stafford versus New Orleans Saints, 2009. Well, this one may have been a bit of foreshadowing for his challenging days in the Motor City, but hey, at least he got to Los Angeles to salvage his legacy and win a ring. Yes, that's right, folks. We're talking about another former #1 overall pick in Matthew Stafford, who had a very challenging start to what will likely be a Hall of Fame career. Stafford was first drafted to save the Detroit Lions after their infamous 0-16 season, but his debut against the Saints in 2009 was, well, not exactly the fresh start that fans were dreaming of. Stafford went 16 of 37 for 205 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Now, he did score a rushing touchdown, but it barely mattered in a 45-27 blowout loss. It was very rough, especially for a fan base that had just suffered through a 0-16 season. I mean, come on, get through that, then you see your shiny new QB throw 3 picks in week 1? Yeah, that's the kind of pain only Lions fans truly understand. Best, Fran Tarkenton versus Chicago Bears, 1961. Alright, let's take it way back for this one. You can't talk about rookie quarterback debuts without tipping your cap to Fran Tarkenton, because man, he set the standard before most of today's highlight reels were even filmed in color. September 17th, 1961. It's the very first game in Minnesota Vikings franchise history. They're facing George Halas's Chicago Bears, a team that had been around since the NFL's Stone Age. Nobody had expected much from an expansion squad with a 21-year-old rookie quarterback, but damn, that rookie came in and dominated, torching the Bears for 250 yards and 4 touchdowns. Keep in mind, this was against one of the most respected defenses of the era. And many didn't just squeak by either. Oh no, they steamrolled Chicago by a final score of 37-13. Tarkenton's passer rating in that game was a perfect 158.3, something that was almost unheard of at the time. Literally, because, well, the stat didn't even exist yet. But with a look back, that stat was replicated by a rookie for over 50 years. And to his credit, he wasn't just a one-hit wonder. Tarkenton went on to redefine what quarterback play could look like. He was running around, improvising, playing backyard football before it was the thing to do. By the time he retired, he was the league's all-time leader in passing yards and touchdowns. And it all started with that epic showing against Chicago. Worst, Don Galt versus Pittsburgh Steelers, 1970. Don Galt's one-and-done appearance might be the ultimate blink-and-you-miss-it career. You know, except Browns fans who sat through that game probably wishing that they had missed it. Galt's NFL resume was practically non-existent heading into 1970. He went undrafted, spent 2 full years stashed away on Cleveland's practice squad, and only saw the field because starter Bill Nelson got hurt. Yeah, needless to say, Galt failed to deliver. He played just one half of football, and in that time, he managed to complete 1 pass out of 16 attempts. That's right, 1 for 44 yards. He threw 2 interceptions, finished with a 0.0 passer rating, and led Cleveland to just 3 total first downs while he was under center. Fans in the stands must have been wondering if they accidentally wandered into a practice instead of an actual NFL game. To make matters even worse and all the more painful for Galt was that he never got another meaningful shot. He hung around as a backup for a few years, but never threw another regular season pass. His entire NFL career is essentially remembered for this single disaster. Best, Will Levis versus Atlanta Falcons, 2023. Every once in a while, a rookie quarterback comes out of nowhere and drops a performance so outrageous, you can't even believe what you're watching, especially when you look back and compare it to the rest of his career. Well, that was Will Levis in Week 8 of the 2023 season. 4 touchdowns in his very first NFL start. He went 19-29 for 238 yards, 4 scores, no picks, and a 130.5 passer rating. 3 of his 4 touchdowns went to Hopkins, and suddenly, the Titans' offense looked like it had life again despite their brutal 2-4 start to the season. The guy went out there in his first start and absolutely shredded a good NFL defense like he was waiting his whole life for this exact stage. Too bad he couldn't keep the act going in the Music City, as he flamed out and curtains closed on him not too long after. Worst, Brandon Weeden versus Philadelphia Eagles, 2012. Man, it's tough to imagine a debut going much worse than the one Brandon Weeden put on tape. Cleveland drafted Weeden in the first round of 2012, even though he was just weeks away from turning 29 years old. He was quite literally older than some of the established quarterbacks already in the league. So the scrutiny was very high, to say the very least. Could a guy who spent most of his 20s playing minor league baseball really be the future at quarterback? Well, that answer came fast. Week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles, Weeden looked completely overwhelmed. He went 12 of 35 for 118 yards, no touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. That is a completion percentage barely above 34%. His passer rating, 5.1. No, not 51. 5.1. Now, for comparison, if Weeden had just, spiked the ball into the dirt on all 35 attempts, his rating would have been higher. To make matters even worse, Cleveland actually managed to stay in the game pretty much until the final whistle. You know, all they really needed was some half-decent quarterback play and they would have taken it home. But, they chose to go with Brandon Weeden. Oh, classic Browns. Yeah, needless to say, things didn't get much better for Weeden in Cleveland or any of his other stops. And ultimately, he was chased out of the league in short order. But hey, which rookie quarterback debut do you think was the worst of all time? Which do you think was the best? Who do you think we're right on? Who do you think we're wrong about? Was there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.